Lunchtimers. This is the Matt Thomas Show.
Hour number 2 of the Matt Thomas Show with Ross. Without Matt Thomas, he is traveling with the Houston Rockets, who last night defeated the Denver Nuggets. Tonight, we'll be on a back-to-back taking on the Sacramento Kings. That'll be a 9 o'clock start here on Sports Talk 790. 8 o'clock Rockets launch pad as well. Coming up at noon, we'll have Dan Matthews joining me in studio. Dan Orlovsky will be joining us to talk some Chiefs and Texans. But right now, Ben DuBose. I would say 2 of the 3 people on the show right now, all about the Mizzou Tigers. Ben, thanks for the time. How about them Rockets?
I know. This is the most fun it's been to watch this team in a long time. I know you can point to, the Jalen Green surge last March, but that was just scrapping to get back to 500 and maybe in the back tour of the play-in tournament. To not only have Jalen going off, but to win games 5 in a row and consistently beat good teams. Yeah, this is the most fun it's been, since the James Harden years. And so
where are we now? When do I buy in and jump in with 2 feet and say this is are we past the threshold to where I say this is this real Rockets team? Because you got the big victories over the Grizzlies. Okay, it was a shorthanded Nuggets team, but I haven't seen a game, even against the Oklahoma City Thunder. They have lost some of these games, but a lot of them have been close. This is the real 25 Rockets, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is. And, they do have a difficult schedule coming up. They've got 3 games in a row against the Cavs and Celtics towards the end of this month. You've got a game at Madison Square Garden. So it's not that they're just going to run off and go on, and at least I don't think they are, a 10, 15-game winning streak. But I think the sample is enough. They actually have had one of the most difficult schedules in the NBA to date. I think it's pretty real. I think what stood out to me the most about this, Ross, the last time, there's 2 games basically all year that they have been uncompetitive. 2 games. One at the very beginning of November against Oklahoma City, and they played the Thunder competitively twice since and beat them once. And then that game in Boston, or at home against Boston a couple of weeks ago, when you didn't have Amen Thompson, you didn't have Jabari, you didn't have Tari, and that's the defending NBA champions. That's the only game in the last 2 months that the Rockets have not at least had a chance to win in the fourth quarter. So on top of the record being legitimate, 27-12 and everything that comes with that, the fact that they are so competitive night in, night out, there's not any game where it looks like they don't belong. That, to me, makes it seem like that it's pretty real.
USA Today's Rockets Wires, Ben DuBose here on the show. And, of course, we cannot have you on to talk Rockets without talking who you mentioned, Amen Thompson. Where is all this coming from with Amen Thompson? And, do you think he's going to make probably a first or second team all defense, certainly if he stays in the starting lineup, which we can get to in a second?
Yeah, I think he will. And I do not envy Ime Udoka when Jabari Smith Jr. comes back, because I just don't see how they can take him out of the starting lineup. It's not even so much what he does for Jalen Green. I know there's been a lot made of that. It's just he's a really good basketball player, period. He makes the game easy for everyone because he provides value in so many different areas. He doesn't have to have the ball in his hands to be effective. The heavy lifting he does defensively, I think that's where it helps Jalen the most, and Jalen identified that after the game the other night at home against the Grizzlies. Amen is so dynamic defensively. The Rockets have a lot of good defensive players. Amen is the one that's truly great, and he does so much heavy lifting on that end that it allows someone like Jalen Green to sort of conserve his energy a little bit and load up for the high leverage offensive possessions where he can, attack the rim much more aggressively, draw more free throws, those types of things. So, yeah, do not envy Ime Udoka because, the politics of a midseason lineup change, if you're winning games, that's always dicey in the NBA. But Amen is so good. I think it's clear on a per-minute basis he's the best player on this team already. So I just don't see, unless the team falls off, and I don't expect them to over the next 2 or 3 weeks, I just don't see how they're going to be able to take him out.
Yeah, the chalk pick is Amen Thompson staying in the starting lineup. Then that begs the question, who is out? Is it Jabari Smith Jr.? Is it possibly Dylan Brooks? I've seen some fans say that Fred VanVleet should be the odd man out, which I don't think there's any chance of that one. But how do you think this starting lineup is constructed if Amen Thompson stays?
Yeah, it's tough. I tend to think that Jabari will be the odd man out because he's in year 3. He's just 21. I don't think there'd be any hurt feelings. And, he's got a guy in his same draft class, Tari Eason, who's arguably when healthy, been a better player than Jabari. And Tari has come off the bench. So I don't think it would be a huge shot to Jabari's ego. With that said, Dylan Brooks has fallen off a little bit over the last few weeks. So you could make a case for maybe leaving Jabari in the starting lineup and bringing Dylan off the bench. But given, veteran status and the fact that the team is winning games now with this Amen at power forward, Dylan at small forward configuration, I think the easiest thing for Ime to do would be to say, you know what, we're going to stick with what's working and we'll figure out everything else in the off season. Not a shot at you, Jabari. The other thing that would be interesting with bringing Jabari off the bench is that in these games where Alperen Sengun struggles defensively and you want to play 5 out, be able to switch 1 through 5, then you can bring Jabari Smith as your backup 5 off the bench. It'll be a little tricky because Steven Adams has played better of late as well. But I think in these games where the Rockets want to play smaller, they want to be more agile, bringing Jabari off the bench might help you in that area as well.
Yeah, it's funny because, just as the team is constructed now with Jabari Smith Jr. feeling like the odd man out, the starting 5 that it is right now, you have a dynamic, quick scoring wing. You have a big man who can, operate from the elbow, who can operate in the low post. You have a Swiss Army knife, do everything defender who can basket cut and stuff like that. And then the 2 veteran guys who set the edge as well. That's just... it feels like if I was conceiving a team, it would be pretty close to what the Rockets have in the starting 5 right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think to go back to the earlier point on Amen's defense, that's so important because if he is able to, and it's not a shot at Jabari because he's a good defender, but Amen is a great one. And so because of that, if you can conserve energy for Jalen Green, so often it comes down to the efficiency for Jalen. I heard you talking earlier about the free throws. That's so important. Last night he was 8 for 8. I think the other night against the Grizzlies, he was 11 for 11. That's the hack in terms of getting his true shooting percentage where it needs to be, clearly above average. And it has been. His last 20 games, it's been 61.5. To get it to that level, you need to get to the free throw line. What do you need to get to the free throw line that often if you're an undersized guard in the NBA? You need energy. You need a willingness and ability to absorb contact on your drives. How do you do that? You have other guys that do the heavy lifting defensively and give you some possessions off. And so when you have Amen Thompson and Dylan Brooks being able to physically handle and take the pounding that comes from guarding top shelf wing players on the other end of the floor, then that's truly what Jalen Green needs, in my opinion, to really, attack the bucket relentlessly on the offensive end. And so I think what Amen and Dylan do defensively, and then Fred VanVleet, look, one of the really impressive things to me about that Memphis game, he hit one of the biggest shots, that 3 in the fourth quarter. He only shot 5 times the entire game. A lot of players around the league need shots to get in rhythm. The fact that Fred is, so graceful and able to sort of scale down his role without needing a ton of touches or shot attempts. And so if Jalen has it going, he's willing and able to defer without it taking a toll on him. Yeah, I think that's a pretty perfect backcourt partner for Jalen. And so because of that, I just, I feel bad for Jabari, but I just don't see who you can take out, assuming the team keeps clicking the way they are.
Yeah, going from the starting lineup to the bench. What are we making of Cam Whitmore? The scoring has been up. We know, of course, the post-game comments a couple of weeks ago, Ime addressing those on this show, saying it's much ado about nothing, especially with the body language stuff as well. And how you feeling about Cam Whitmore in the rest of the season, how it's going to go for him?
Yeah, I've been encouraged. I thought there was a play at the end of the third quarter in that Memphis game that showed a lot of growth from him. The clock was winding down. He pumped fake from 3, and he could have gone to the rim, could have pulled up from mid-range. But he found Aaron Holiday in the corner for an open 3, which Aaron made at the buzzer. It cut it to 5, and from that point forward, it felt like it was a competitive game. Great crowd. And I think Cam's willingness to make the right read to pass, even when everyone in the building would have understood if he took the shot himself, with a little bit of space and the shot clock running down. That's why the Rockets have had him on something of a tight leash. The gifts are there, but while he can score easily, what's going to be the difference in him being a good player or a very good player is going to be whether he can do the other things. And so we know off-ball awareness defensively. Ime talked about that a lot. You got to defend at least at a capable level to play for Ime Udoka. He's gotten better on that end. But offensively, the fact that it's not just his scoring and, putting up shots and putting up numbers, but the fact that he seems to be seeing the floor a little bit better, in year two at just 20 years old, that's really encouraging. So I don't think they're going to be able to take him out of the rotation. It's going to be tight if and when Tari Eason comes back. But I think Cam Whitmore has done enough that this is a team that needs scoring punch at times. And now that he's coming along in the other areas of his game, I think Cam's going to play. I think barring, a dramatic downturn in his performance, I think he's earned at least something of a role for the rest of the year.
All right, 3 weeks from today, February 6th, is the trade deadline. How much do you think the Rockets are itching to make a move in Rafael Stone, or how much do you think they just say, hey, we can improve enough internally and trust the process?
Yeah, I think at this point it's trusting the process. I think, a month ago when Jalen Green's numbers were below average efficiency-wise, you could wonder about, hey, do you use his contract as something of a trade chip and try to upgrade that spot? Because that was the clear deficiency, getting a tip of the spear scorer. But look, what people forget about this Rockets team, plan A is not trading for a star. Plan A is that it works out organically. And this core 7 of first-round prospects that you drafted the last 4 draft cycles, that enough of them work out that you don't have to go out and make a big deal for a Devin Booker or a Donovan Mitchell or whoever it might be. There were times the last couple of years where it was fair to wonder if Jalen Green is actually capable of being that guy. I think at this point the sample is long enough. The last 20 games are what they are, but really going back to about this time a year ago, the last 80 games, he's been above average efficiency-wise, scoring about 22 points per game, leading scorer on a good Rockets team. He's defending at a capable enough level that Ime Udoka trusts him. So if you want to give Jalen Green longer runway, and I think he absolutely deserves at least the rest of this year, if not longer, I don't think you're going to upgrade that spot. And then beyond that, the reason I don't think they do anything, Ross, who are you going to bench to give a new guy minutes? This team is so deep. We were talking about Cam Whitmore. The question is, how do you keep playing Cam Whitmore enough when Tari Eason comes back? And it looks like that's getting pretty close. So I just don't see who they could bring in. And by the way, we haven't mentioned Jae'Sean Tate. He's been good the last 3 weeks. So I'm inclined to say the Rockets stay the course because the biggest weakness was the Jalen Green spot. That's obviously sort of resolved itself the last few weeks. And then beyond that, where are they going to play? That's my big question. I'm inclined to say they just stay the course. You see what happens the rest of the year. You see what happens in the playoffs. And if anything bigger needs to happen, Rafael Stone looks at that this summer. That's my prediction.
Ben DuBose of USA Today's Rockets Wire. Ben, let the folks know where they can find your stuff.
Yep. Ben DuBose on Twitter/X, the Logger Line, the Rockets Wire on the same, and rocketswire.usatoday.com for all your daily Houston Rockets news coverage.
Look at this. You got this nailed down, Ben. Thanks for the time as always. Talk to you down the road.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, bud.
All right. Appreciate it. There you go. Ben DuBose here on Sports Talk 790. I'm doing a lot of Rockets talk. Y'all are getting in with some Rockets talk. I love it. Let's go. 713-212-5790 is the phone number. 713-212-5790. I agree with Ben. I think they do trust the process, stay the course with this team. Are they better than the Thunder? No. But are they still ahead of schedule? Yes. Or do you say, maybe you've got some expiring deals like Fred VanVleet that might offer some value to somebody in 3 weeks when the trade deadline passes for the 2025 campaign.